to that. That is the sound of adulation. So if I talk for 2 hours, you can just shut the cup. Okay, Malcolm, thank you ever so much for doing the Immortal Memory. I think one of the things that you forgot actually was that there'd been a couple of years when you didn't do it, and when, okay, I'm not saying I did a great job, but I stepped into the breach and I did it. And what I did was I actually talked about Robert Burns. I didn't do a fucking pub quiz. Now, listen, and I'm sorry, Malcolm, I did have to nip out when you were talking, and it's not that I lost interest or that I didn't know the answers, it's just that I needed to put another 2 hours on my ticket on the camera. So I just had to do that. Anyway, Andy said, because Malcolm's gone on a bit, you just need to trim your speech, so... So that's just half an hour. Avril, your equipment's wrong. It's digitally not quite synced because clearly it suggested I did 18 minutes when in actual fact I think it was a very swift and funny 4.
No!
Anyway.
Oh!
So, for those of you at the back that don't have razor-light hearing, the comedian down at the front said, is that what your wife said? That was to do with 4 minutes and not having a very long encounter with sex. Is that what you meant? All of you know I can go on for seconds and seconds. And see you later, cheeky girl. So, it's a toast to the lasses. Now, I've been asked to do the toast of the lasses, and you know, sometimes people kind of talk about this as a kind of a bit of a misogynistic, sexist, you know, prejudicial sort of rant. And you know, I'm having none of that because I'm a man of the 2000, you know, plus years, and I'm very enlightened. So I'm doing none of that silly prejudice stuff. It'll be something that's much more, you know, liberal. Anyway. I've been asked to do the toast of the lasses, and as I look around the room tonight, actually that won't be a difficult task because, let's face it ladies, you do look absolutely radiant. How are you doing? Andy gave me this speech rather than the Immortal Memory because he said the toast of the ladies. It's not one of the main speeches, and it'll be quite brief. And he thought I was the right man for the job.
Well, there was no one else.
And there was nobody else. Now, in the old days, the toast of the lassies, it was normally done within a kind of a male-only Burns night suppers. I mean, can you imagine that now? Male-only. Think of the fun with lifting our kids. Anyway, the only women that would be there would be the ones that were kind of serving on. And what would happen in the evening ordinarily in the old days is that there would then be like a halt in the proceedings and there'd be a bit of a speech, at which point all those men would kind of, you know, pay some respect to the women who were serving them and, you know, show some appreciation, invite them in. And they basically rip the piss out of them. We actually got you to pay £30 a ticket to do that. No, I'm joking. Things have changed. Things have changed. We're now in 2013. I know, and it's just a continuation of Malcolm's quiz. Clever bastards. But I believe that we've got some people in from Scotland tonight, from Kilbarcan. Is that right? In from Kilbarcan? I mean, look at that. Stand up a minute. Come on, let's have a look at you. These are real Scottish people. Now, just to say that Andy said, we got these guys in from Kilbarcan, he said, basically rip the piss out of them. I said, have you seen the size of them? Apparently in Kilbarcan, it's a village where, so I'm told, it's a village where, on a wedding, where, you know, as you go in and they say bride or groom, and it's the only place where they say both. No, but they still have slag-only type of rights. So listen, those of you from Kilbarcan, I just want to say welcome to Clayton. It's very nice to see you, and welcome to the 21st century. And you can see how we all managed to get along just fine in mixed company. There's no fighting, there's no sex on the table. Now, some people have said that Burns would be perfectly at ease with both male-only and mixed company events. Male because he did love the kind of the crack of just being with men, and then of course mixed company because, let's face it, he just enjoyed women. Oh well. It is a very nice place, is Kilbarcan. I've been there only briefly. I was run out of time. But it is a nice place, you know, and there of course they still have their Burns night with just men only. Kilbarcan has also just had a grant from the government to renovate their ducking stool for witches. And apparently Kilbarcan has just got a brand new app for the sat-nav, because they've just found out that the world is actually round. Anyway, Jesus, he is a big bloke, isn't he? Andy, I should have said that. No. Listen, apparently the recession is lifting and things are finally improving. And I was watching the news yesterday, and there's a good news story. Apparently there's a brick factory outside of Lancaster, and it's now started to kind of work again. It's back in full production after years of not working. They had to lay people off when the recession started. Now the official story is that they're building bricks because there is a kind of a real spurge on the kind of a house building industry. But unofficially, apparently there's a team of brickies on the border of England and Scotland just waiting to whack up a new version of Hadrian's Wall, just in case that Scotland should vote for independence in the forthcoming referendum. Now, it will be nice, you know, if Scotland get independence, and as you look around here you can see some of the entries for the competition for the new national flag. Should they win, a Tunnock's fucking tea cake, and McSween's, Haggis and Tin Baxter's. So those are the entries. But it has been said to me that the only way that Scotland will get the independence, of course, is if they give English people the vote. And then at that point they're going to take a big chainsaw and they're going to cut along the border and they're going to push Scotland out in the sea towards Greenland. There's a whole load of bus companies that are really excited about the possibility of repatriating all these expat jocks that are living here in England. Richard, you better pack your suitcase. We actually thought that we'd make use of the laws governing the increased movement of citizens through the EU since the beginning of January, and therefore we brought a full busload of people from Nottingham. Are you there? There was 19 people, I kid you not, it's like herding cats. You know, there's Dawn saying, oh, I need a toilet. There's David, have I got my bloody shirt on the right way round? Anyway, when Andy brought the tickets over, he already has told you that he addressed the envelope to the Addingham Swingers. And as with all jokes, there's often a tiny grain of truth. I mean, it's true that for the last few years, a few of us in Anningham have gone up to the lakes for a bit of a weekend away in the first weekend of December. And it is very lovely. I mean, you can take the piss, but it is very nice. Log fires, it's all trimmed up, all very Christmassy. And the first time that John and I went, they actually all threw their keys in the pot. I thought, hey up. But because we're very polite, we just played along. And given it was a kind of a wife swapping thing, I mean, I was very fortunate, some would say. I mean, I ended up with Tony.
I remember it well.
Don't get me wrong, we did have a lovely evening, Tony, sitting watching movies, eating chocolates. The sex wasn't very good, but I blame myself for the first time. And what Tony can't tell you about fishing is nobody's business. Now, this might be a bit of a surprise to you, but men and women are actually a bit different. Did you know that? I'm only saying that to my daughter because she's here for the first time, so if I've told you before about the birds and bees, Rosie, men and women, just a bit different. You see, there's some things like time. You know, men and women have different concepts of time. Do you know what I mean? So that when a man says he's going to be 5-10 minutes in getting ready, he means I'll be 5 or 10 minutes in getting ready. Women, on the other hand, actually take that as I'll be something nearer 2 hours. I was saying that to some women ahead of this, and what they said was, yeah, but that's because we've got a bit of warped sense of time, because we say to our husbands and our partners, we want 2 hours of love making, and then apparently it ends up being 5 minutes. Spatial awareness. Spatial awareness. Apparently there's some research to say that men and women judge space and distance a bit differently. So it's not just me saying that, that's research. And if you take things like car parking, for instance, it's not unusual to find that generally men can judge the measurements of a car park space better than women. Am I right? And that they can usually put the car in said car park space much more swiftly than women. Now I happened to float that in the office with some women, and they said that the only reason why we're not very good around kind of space and distance and measurements and so on is that you men keep telling us that something that's about this big is actually about this big. So it might be we've got to do. So humour, we also differ on humour, and apparently men and